So now I'm going to hand it over to Josefina, who will be our first speaker of the day. So everybody give a warm welcome to Josefina.
Give it for Kyle, everybody. How does this work? Like this?
Like this way.
I've never worn one of these things before.
You can adjust this too.
I got my hair, let's see. Hey, everybody. Oh, hey, Joe. You're right up at the front. This is fun and interesting. Bear with us for a moment. How's everyone feeling in your body right now? Oh, yeah? Does it feel better to stand or to sit? To sit? Okay. I'll let y'all sit for another moment before we begin. Quick question, Kyle. Do we have also the slides up here that I had sent you or no?
No, I can get them ready. Where'd you send them? On WhatsApp?
On WhatsApp. Yep. So I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to erase this first. So some of you may or may not know me. My name is Josefina Bashout, and I am a sacred sexuality. There we go. Let's see how this goes. There we go. So my name is Josefina Bashout. I'm a sacred sexuality teacher and a spiritual psychologist. My zone of genius is bridging the world of spirituality and psychology so that we can have a holistic approach, yes, to love, sex, and relationships. So we're going to explore the world, a little taste today, in regards to love, relationships, but starting with self-love. Because from self-love comes all love. And we can only love someone as deep and as juicy as we're willing to love ourselves. And so we're going to begin with first standing up. I know y'all, I told y'all that you sit for just a moment. And I want you to turn to somebody that you don't know, someone you don't know, find someone you don't know. You can look at me, right? And I want you just to stand across from them. And I want you just to straight up look at them. Just look at them. No words, just look. Just see the person. Check them out. Yep. Awesome. Okay, switch. Now find a new person that you don't know. And just look at them. Don't talk, right? Don't even talk about it. Just look at them. Just check them out. See who they are, right? Get a little eyelid full of everybody. Yep. Cool. And now switch. Find a third person that you don't know. And again, look at that person that you don't know. See them. Yep, a new person in front of you. Yep. Cool. And now say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. And now you're going to come on back down and sit down. How fun. You're in a world about community. You get to check each other out. So that's a part of the exercise. We're going to see the person for who they are, but I'm going to introduce to you a really revolutionary tool. It's based in spiritual psychology, and the tool is called Seeing the Loving Essence. Let me bring this actually out a little bit more, y'all. There we go. I think I got it. If it falls, please help. Okay, so maybe you can fix that. So this tool is called Seeing the Loving Essence. I put a little fun eye up there, because it's, why not? We are seeing from a different perspective. So seeing the loving essence. Now, when we see someone from the place of a loving essence, we're not seeing them from the way we just saw them right now. I'm going to teach you and have you experience what's that like to see someone through the loving essence. Because for right now, this will just be theory. You'll just kind of maybe understand some of it. But for the most part, I want you to viscerally learn through experiential understanding. Yeah? Who loves experiential learning? I do. Woo! It's the best way to learn. You get it into your body. So, seeing the loving essence, we're going to start with the first piece. The source of love and presence is within us. When we enter into dating, relating, sex, oftentimes we can be trying to get something from the other person. Yeah, would we agree? If you're being honest, we would agree. If we're not being honest, we're going to be like, no, I'm not. No, 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 no. I love that. I'm going to give them everything. But there's some part of us that is seeking to get a need met, whether it's validation, whether it's feeling desired, whether it's sex, whether it's connection, whether it's ejaculation, whether it's an orgasm, whether it's commitment. Oftentimes we're seeing that other person and trying to get something from them. Oftentimes it's love. The biggest thing we're trying to get is love. And whether or not we're honest about that, that's just straight up the truth. Always in a game of playing with love. Now, here's the really good news, is that love is already inside of you. There's nothing to get. And when we let go of the story of, I need to get love from this person, we start to step back and recognize, wait a minute, I am a loving person. The love that I'm seeking, the connection, is actually within myself, but let me practice being present to the love that already exists inside of me so that I can actually use this person as a mirror to help amplify what I'm already feeling. What do you think happens if I start to operate from that place versus I need you to love me and I want you to commit to me, or I want to make sure that when we have sex, like you're going to call me later, right? I need all these things from you in order to feel a certain way. But what do you think would shift if I chose to be present with myself and source that love from within me before I showed up to play, to go on a date, to have sex, to have a conversation? What do you guys think? Just maybe popcorn style, or someone raise your hand. I want to hear from at least two of you before we move on. What was the question? Okay, so what do you think would shift the experience? Good. So if I'm in a place of trying to get something, trying to get love from someone, but I practice seeing the loving essence with myself, which I'll teach you about, which is essentially seeing yourself as the source of love, not the other person. What do you think would shift?
Well, if you are trying to obtain something and you don't have, that means that you are in a state of lack, and you're not feeling that every moment. You're always not feeling it because you're pretending that it's outside of you. But the moment you source it from inside of you, all of a sudden you're full all the time.
Ooh, yeah. And what do you think that would do? What kind of a ripple would that create?
Then it's like attracts like, and you get exactly that.
Yes. Ooh, and would that help us be more in our like wildest and highest potential, or would it be less in our highest and wildest potential?
You'd be summing from love, so you'd have so much more expression of whoever you are instead of you opening up whatever's inside of you that you suppressed.
Yes. Beautiful. I love this. Give him a round of applause. What's your name? Raven. Awesome, Raven. Yes. Great answer. Anyone else have another answer around that? That was beautiful. Or do we all agree that that's the primary shift that will take place? Dominique.
There'll be nothing to get, so you're not essentially looking for anything, you're just there, experiencing.
Beautiful. That's also great, which is presence. Bingo. Let's give Dominic a round of hands. Beautiful. So love these answers. You guys tapped on both of them, which is it's within us, right? It's within us. Why is it hard for us to see that inside of ourselves, and we get caught in a relationship dynamic where we're constantly seeking outside of ourselves? It's because we haven't cultivated a skill set. And the skill set, many, many different ones, but this is just an intro, right? Just an intro, is because we haven't cultivated one. And the one I want to teach you all is seeing the loving essence, which is seeing beyond what you're needing to get or what you're looking for, and in fact, looking from a different lens, from the lens of your heart and the lens of your spirit, soul, whatever you'd want to call that. And that requires you to be fully present with the person, which is first yourself before anyone else. Are you guys with me? Say aye. Okay, kind of with me. Let's try that one more time. You guys with me? Say aye. Aye. Okay, now I feel the presence of you guys actually here. Can we go to the next slide? Where's that? Kyle's so awesome. Boom. So why is this important? Because if we're constantly trying to get something or think we need to go somewhere or we're always in lack, then we have a crystallized version, an idea, an identity of ourself, which means, I said earlier, we can only love someone as deep and as far and as wide as we're willing to meet and love ourselves, yeah? And so if we have a crystallized vision of ourself as someone who's in lack all the time, or someone who's in scarcity all the time, or someone who's always rejected all the time, or someone who's not as desirable or has to chase, whatever the dialogue is, right? I'm not going to put the narrative to you. You know what your story is. I'm not in your head. You are, right? But that means that you're going to be doing the same limiting projection onto the potential mate, right? The potential person you're interacting with, whether it's romantically, sexually, even just intimately, even friends, people you don't know, strangers, right? So oftentimes, without cultivating this tool, we'll see someone, and that person can never rise farther beyond our belief about them. So if I believe that Dominic is closed off, right? Closed off. I love you, Dom. That's why I'm using you, because I love you. Let's just say with Dominic, if I believe that Dominic is, every time I meet him, I think, oh, he's always closed off, and he's always someone who's like not present and kind of spacey and in his head. Every time I see him, I'm going to be constantly cutting off his potential for more because I'm crystallizing this vision and I'm keeping him small. But is it really that it's Dominic? Or is it actually that it's my internal experience of how I'm seeing him that's keeping me small in tapping into my highest and wildest potential? You guys are following that? So when we go into relationship dynamics, right, your partner can't rise above the story that you're holding to be true about them. And that's the funny thing about truth, is it's really subjective to your own personal experience, right? So you can always check in, is this really true? Is that really true that I think that Dominic is always this and that? And not really, but if I practice letting go of trying to get something, trying to understand him, trying to do whatever, and I just come back to that love of source within me and being present, now more of potential can flow through him because I'm not limiting him, right? He doesn't feel me kind of like watching him to see, and vice versa. More of my potential to love opens up as a wellspring, which transforms the entire experience. How many of you, it's a little bit of a vulnerable ask, but I'm going to ask it anyways. How many of you are guilty of, hi love, how many of you are guilty of seeing people and not just being present with them, but seeing people and immediately creating stories as soon as you meet them? When we're all in the room right now, you all made up stories about the person right across from you, whether you knew it or not. And it wasn't a story that had to be negative. It'd be like, oh, their hair is this way, their shoulder is this way. Oh, I'm feeling this or that, right? How many of you were actually just present with the other person? Oftentimes, we're not present with the other person. Parts of us may be if we train to recultivate that, right? And that's what I'm saying is you can hold the vision and I can say, oh, she's not liking this talk. Her body is closed. She's just sitting there, right? And now I'm closed because I'm assuming that you're not liking this. Now, boom, the potential for us to soar into bliss has been limited, right? So how many times then are we not just doing that to other people, but we're actually doing that to ourselves, right? I want you to think about for a moment, close your eyes, and I want you to think for a moment of yourself in the primary character role of your everyday identity, being the star of your own movie. And see yourself operating in a scene right now, right? It might be uncomfortable, but don't worry, I promise we're going to get out of here pretty quick. So just see yourself as the main character in your movie. And I want you to see yourself in like a sexy kind of situation. Maybe you're on a date. Maybe you're dancing, right? Maybe someone's holding someone's hands. Maybe you're on a fucking cowboy riding it down. Maybe you're spanking in a BDSM club. Who knows what your thing is, right? But I want you to see yourself, right, in a situation. And I want you to see who do you normally play, right? And as you start to see who you normally play, begin to place your right hand on your heart, keeping eyes still closed. And I want you to open your legs a little bit more, and I want you to start to breathe from your sex center. Keep your legs uncrossed so your energy can flow. Right? Change your physiology, change your body. Your embodiment changes. And I want you just to see yourself without judgment, just being present. With who do you normally play? Do you play the cool person? Do you play the hard-to-get person? Do you play someone who's so significant in the world? Do you play someone who doesn't matter? Do you play a sidekick? Who do you play? Rico Suave? I don't know. Right? Someone who doesn't have enough energy? Just notice, what's the autopilot character mode that you play in? And take a big breath in from your sex center, from your genitals into the heart. Make a pleasurable, audible sound out of your mouth. Good. One more time, breathing in from the sex center up to the heart. Open mouth, pleasurable, audible exhale. Let your body relax. We're just having some fun. And I want you just to see yourself in this movie briefly, for just a brief moment. What if you changed your character to one that was super resourced, fully full, fully available for love, for bliss, for ecstasy, for abundance, for overflow? See yourself as that main character internally, and I want you to watch how the picture changes in your mind. It could be super subtle. We're going to be here for just about another 15 to 20 seconds. Again, breathe through your sex, bring it into the heart, keep the body relaxed. Right, just being present, witnessing yourself. Another deep breath in from the sex, one of our last breaths in, bring it into the heart. Yum, yum, yum. And then you can open your eyes and come back in. How was that for you? How was that physically? And how was that emotionally? What changed? How was that physically, emotionally, and what changed? I want to hear from at least one person.
I feel like something opened. Like,
Something went, hey. Uh-huh. In the heart?
like here.
In the solar plexus?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So this is our identity in the world, right? This is about who we project ourselves out to be. And if we're closed and trying to protect versus being open, there's that magnetic pull. We want to be open, right? We want to be open so the right things can find us. Beautiful. Anyone else? Come on, I know somebody wants to say something. Beautiful. And the energy flowed more. Awesome. Right? So that's the piece where self-love is important, because the more that you're connecting to yourself, your heart, your energy, your breath, the more you're available to flow, the more you can share that and amplify and magnify that with your peeps. And that's in community, and that's in friends, that's in all the variety of pieces. So if we start operating from that place, then we're no longer holding them in a story, because now we're operating from here. We're letting the energy flow in. So let me move to the next little slide. Right arrow. Oh yeah. Boom. So what if for a moment we take away the history, right? And we see with the new eyes. I had you do this practice in the beginning to see each other and just kind of stared at each other. And we all, whether we are conscious or unconscious, made up little stories, made a little bit of an observation from that place where we were not as open and flowing. But what happens if we show up now with new eyes? Eyes where we don't know who this person is, but instead we're going to look at them from the loving essence. You guys want to try that? Beautiful. So stand up. Find the first person that you looked at. Find the first, and this time no talking, zero talking, zero talking. And I want you to close your eyes first. The first person. The first person that we did the eye exercise with. And I want you to close your eyes. We could do it, Jamie. Close your eyes first. And again, I want you to take that same breath. So relax the body, open the arms, open your legs. Breathe in. Let it out. Eyes still closed. And before you open your eyes, feel that opening. And you're going to intentionally look, when you do, not yet, when you do in a moment, into each other's left eye. And you're going to hold the gaze until I say switch. There's no talking. There's no moving. You're just going to simply bring that love and that presence with you as you gaze into each other's left eye. And we'll talk about it later, but hold the questions or hold the chatter till later. 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes, looking into the left eye. Remember to breathe. Beautiful. Switch without talking. Find the second person. Find the second person. And when you find them, close your eyes again. Keep your eyes closed, hands out of pocket, hands not closed, body relaxed. Again, breathe in from your sex into your heart. And in a moment, not yet, but in a moment, you're going to open your eyes, and again, you're going to look into their left eye with that same love and that same presence. 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in, open eyes. Keep breathing. All right, no words. Breathe. Good. And 3, 2, 1, acknowledge them, maybe give them a hug and switch to that last person that you saw. And you're going to find that third person. That third person. And you're going to close your eyes again. Hands out of pocket, relaxed. Eyes closed. Right, keeping the body open, nothing crossed. You want to let the energy flow. Remembering it's safe, training the body. It's safe to be intimate. It's safe to be seen. So big breath in. Opening the eyes, looking into the left eye. Beautiful. One final breath together. Well, let's do that again, and let's all make a juicy sound on the exhale. Breathing in 3, 2, 1. Give each other a hug. Beautiful. And then come back in together. That feels good. How many of you feel a little bit lighter? Feel more of your heart open? Do we feel more connected to each other or less connected? More. What do we think shifted? That was the experiential learning. So that was the practice. Instead of me telling you, I wanted you to be in the practice of seeing the loving essence, right? That was you seeing the loving essence. What was that experience like for some of you? Because I know when I first did that years ago, I was like, my breath was tight. I was holding myself. I was afraid that the person would see things. And then I just started fucking crying. I was like, why am I crying right now? And it's because our heart is opening. And we're allowing a deep part of ourselves that normally we protect or we hide to not be seen, right? And that's what true deep intimacy is allowing ourselves to see into the other person, but to allow ourselves to be seen into. And that's why this practice of seeing the loving essence is so important. Our eyes soften, right? And I want to hear from you. I don't want to tell you. I want to hear what, if someone wants to share very bravely, what was the experience like for you? Was there something surprising that came up when there was no talking going on and it was just love and presence? Right? I'd love to hear from at least 2 of you. I'm gonna call on you. What's your name? Natasha. How was that experience for you, Natasha?
I felt more closed than open.
Yeah. You felt more closed and open, and then what did your body want to do?
Do more stuff like run, maybe like, I don't know, like walk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I felt like caged.
Mm-hmm.
That, so I did not feel comfortable.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Let's give her a round of applause for being so vulnerable. Yeah. And love saying that. So what's happening when you have that experience, right, I want to share is that we all want connection and we all want to experience deep, true intimacy in the heart, but it can feel scary because it's very vulnerable. But what you're doing and where I took you to was riding the edge of pleasure. And as a society, majority of us, when we get that edge of pleasure, that edge of vulnerability where it can take us into more love, we have a tendency to shut down physically, to protect, to avoid, to check out, to distract, to look over here, to look over there. And it's normal, right? Like I said, we haven't been trained in our nervous system or even understanding this tantric tool of being able to train ourselves to relate very differently. And so if any of you had that type of experience, know that that's a beautiful, beautiful gift you gave yourself. Because now you know, oh wow, there's some deeper part of me, right, that's still protecting myself. And then you can work with that part when you're in community or you're with your partner of like, okay, what do I need to see more of that part in me, be present, and love more of that part with me? That's why, again, the self-love is so deeply important. Because if we have that and we're going out in the world and we're carrying that tension with us, how are we going to relate to someone that we might really like, but if we're protecting, right? The body will say something very differently. And then sometimes we can miss out on opportunity because we're not allowing the other person to feel us, right? Through the senses. So thank you. Anyone else want to share something? What they experienced? Come on, don't be shy, don't be shy.
I think you're totally right in that, like, when you start to look into somebody's eyes, you instantly, like, the first time we start to talk and say things and try and break it up to reduce the vulnerability, kind of its protection mechanism. And then the second time, when you're, in that state of openness, you're able to be more vulnerable and experience it just as it is, rather than trying to shift it into something else.
Yeah, Beautiful. Great awareness, Joe. Let's give Joe a round of applause. Did anyone else have that type of experience? You can just put your hand up. Did anyone else have an experience where you felt yourself closed and vulnerable, and then the second time felt yourself actually open? And you don't have to speak, you can just raise your hand if that was your experience. Yeah? Awesome. Did anyone else have any other experience or not feel anything? Did you feel yourself totally shut down, or someone felt themselves completely open? Just out of curiosity? Okay. Has anyone, you started crying?
When I started with you, I don't know why, but I just started crying.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, it's okay.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna die, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know, like sometimes I've been so hard, like, ¿cómo se dice? Like blocking for so many years that suddenly, like, I just cry all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right, blocking my emotions.
Yes.
So, like 3 years from now, just like, I just cry because I cry.
Yeah. And that happens because we're shining love, right? When we shine love, whatever's not loving has to come up, and usually it's blocked emotion. So crying is beautiful. I love that, and it's unexpected, right? And that's the power of vulnerability and relating and using the loving essence, because suddenly you're seeing them at a soul level, right? From a divine level, right? It's not ego, it's not me, Josefina, it's my highest self, my goddess self is seeing that same light in you. As they say in yoga, namaste, the light in me acknowledges and honors the light that's within you. We all have a light within us. And so when we practice this, we're getting rid of ego, we're getting rid of identity, we're getting rid of story, and we're just being present with our light and shining it onto the other person. And notice, we weren't trying to get anything in that dynamic. Notice we were actually giving in that dynamic. And we had one other comment in the back.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. You said that you felt closed and then you felt open the second time. I actually had the opposite experience and felt more closed. And when I thought about it, it's because I started with a woman. And so I can reflect on that and realize that I instantly felt safer being vulnerable with a woman. And then as I did the two, no offense, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Suddenly very uncomfortable. So I just don't know if anyone else had that experience where there was a difference when they looked at a member of the opposite sex versus same sex, but it was obvious to me.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Let's give Molly Pops a round of applause for sharing. Yeah. Any other females in the space have that experience? And again, it has nothing to do with the guys. It's just our nervous system, right? And what opens us and what actually, through a dynamic of what contracts us. And it doesn't mean that someone's bad or wrong or dangerous. It's just there's a biochemical response that happens when a man's body and a woman's body come together within 30 seconds, right? Our biochemistry completely changes. And so our nervous system is either going to feel comfortable and safe because we've cultivated that internal safety, or naturally, and I'll say that was my experience when I first started this practice. So to answer your question, I used to have that experience all the time because I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe in my body as much, and I was more protective, especially with men. And so if you're a woman who's seeking to be in a relationship or a partnership with a man, it's something where there's that opportunity of, okay, I can work on feeling safe with the masculine and letting myself slowly, right? Slowly, softly open. When the masculine feels present, loving, then he feels safe, right? And that's why this is a beautiful practice, because we're not even talking about sex or taking our clothes off or doing any of those things. But see how deeply intimate this is? And this is pretty revolutionary because every one of you has a divine light in you, right? God self, Goddess self. So when you bring that to the dynamic, it changes everything. And from a small space like this to sex, right? When we take it even into sex, imagine how that would radically change the experience of lovemaking or your sexual experience. Because if we're taking that closeness or that opening and closeness, which is also a pattern, I'm open, I'm closed, I'm open, I'm closed, then the flow of love, of sexual energy, life force energy, chi, starts to find its kinks and its blocks. And when we meet its kinks and we meet its blocks, we'll then again go back to slide one, creating a story and trying to solidify an identity of something's wrong with him or me or the relationship or whatever it is. But the invitation is, can you actually look at the block, or can you look at whatever's coming up with yourself through the loving essence? And so I'm going to prepare to close on this with a practice that you all can do, which actually we just recorded a podcast this week for the first time with Kyle's show, and we brought it up on there, which is I want you to practice seeing the loving essence with yourself. I want you to, and run it as an experiment, right, for like the next 7 days. Run it as an experiment. Go to the mirror, close your eyes, find that presence, find that love, the same way we did here, by taking a few deep breaths through your sex, bring it into the heart, and then open your eyes, and I want you to look in the mirror and look in your left eye. And I want you to see what happens, right? Can you stay present, not looking around, looking for your flaws, but can you practice seeing the loving essence in yourself, in the majesty and the magnificence of your light, of who you are, and find how much more available and open you are through self-intimacy. So that way, the mirror of relationship, love, sex, and dating can start to mirror back to you more of that magnificence and more of that emotional availability. Yeah. Beautiful. All right, guys, thank you so much.